Pests beware, your fields have heroes. The Pests and Predators podcast is brought to you by Field Heroes and is powered by the Western Grains Research Foundation. Learn how beneficial insects fight pests and protect your crops. Visit fieldheroes.ca today.
Shaun Haney here with RealAgriculture.com and Real Ag Radio, Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM, joined right now by the CEO of the RFA. It is Geoff Cooper. Jeff, great to see you again.
Good to see you, Shaun.
Well, nothing happening in biofuels, my friend. Like it's calm waters, everything's good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I guess we are 100 days into the administration. What do we know about the president's position on biofuels?
Well, we've been very excited by the president's positioning on biofuels and really the entire cabinet. They've been very supportive. We saw on day one of this administration, in some of the executive orders that President Trump was publishing, biofuels were prominently mentioned as an energy source that deserves prioritization and as an energy source that's part of the president's strategy for American energy dominance. So we've been very enthusiastic and excited to see that. And so far, I mean, the administration has been delivering on those commitments that ethanol belongs in that group of energy sources that should be prioritized.
What are the gaps then? Because what you just described a pretty calm situation.
Yeah, right.
So where's the gap?
I'd say the biggest gaps are a lot of things were left undone by the previous administration, whether that's the Renewable Fuels Standard volume obligations that we're waiting on. E15 was sort of left unresolved by the Biden administration. The tax policy, 45Z, 45Q, a lot of those things were just kind of left unresolved when the Biden administration left town. So the Trump administration is trying to pick up all those pieces and figure out how to best move forward and move forward as quickly as possible to support further growth in the industry. We've already seen some positive announcements from the administration on E15. They've issued some emergency waivers that will allow retailers to continue selling E15 this summer. That's sort of a Band-Aid fix. We still need Congress to come in and do legislation that would permanently fix that issue. And then on the renewable fuel standard volumes, we are expecting in the next few weeks, probably by Memorial Day or shortly thereafter, to see EPA's proposed volumes for the RFS for next year and 2027.
We're seeing the price of oil come down. We're hovering around that $50 to $55. For the fracking industry, that's kind of a break-even point.
Yep.
How does that $50 to $55 impact what happens in the biofuel sector?
Well, I mean, it's certainly a factor, but the most important factor in the ethanol margin is corn price. And we've seen ethanol prices really pinned to corn prices over the last probably 10 years. If corn prices go up, ethanol prices go up and vice versa. Certainly oil prices are a factor. If ethanol is price competitive with gasoline at the rack, that's going to help spur demand. And even with lower oil prices, we are still seeing ethanol priced very competitively with gasoline at the wholesale level. But hopefully we got this big corn crop coming. Hopefully we're going to grind as much corn as possible, keep making more ethanol, growing into new markets like E15, and really hopefully help improve that margin structure. Right now, margins have been pretty thin this year so far.
Yeah. 45Z, what do we know now?
Well, what we know is there's still a lot of unanswered questions on 45Z. The Treasury, again, right before Biden left office, published what they called a notice of intent to propose regulations.
So some guidance?
And so some loose guidance that's still hanging out there. We don't have a proposed rule. We certainly don't have a final rule from the Treasury. And when we talk to them, they say, well, look, we're kind of waiting to see what Congress has to say about 45Z and about the Inflation Reduction Act. Through this budget reconciliation process, there's a decent chance that some of those credits could be reformed, could be changed, could be removed in some cases. We feel pretty good that about the chances of 45Z being spared from any kind of repeal, but it could absolutely undergo some changes.
And there's, depending on how those environmental, like the carbon intensity scores, the White House really doesn't like those. I guess it's it feels like from the prior administration.
Yep.
And so it's not a lot of nuance in DC. Those things get kicked out, and then all of a sudden, what are we left? We don't know really what 45Z is.
That's exactly right. I think what we think is a good chance of happening is a sort of rebranded 45Z program. You're right. I think, when Republicans get a hold of 45Z and start talking about ways of improving and changing and fixing some of the flaws with that program, what they come back with is probably going to be called something different. It's going to look different. But we know, bottom line, if we want things like sustainable aviation fuel, if we want to see continued growth in renewable diesel, biodiesel, that's going to take some tax policy. It's going to take some tax support.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what shape that takes. I think that's kind of what everybody's waiting to see.
Yeah, for some of the audience that's out of the ethanol belt, you're around E15.
Yep.
Why is it taken? A long story, I know. Why is it taking so long, and how big of an impact would it actually have on the industry?
Well, the short answer on timing is there haven't been any opportunities, there haven't been any vehicles to move that legislation through Congress. It's not going to move as a standalone measure. It's going to have to ride along with a larger must-pass piece of legislation, and there just haven't been many of those. We had the CR bill in December. E15 was part of that, and then it fell out at the very last minute. There was another CR in March. We didn't quite make the cut there either. So there's plenty of support. There's really no opposition. Both sides of the aisle, both chambers are wanting to get this done. It's just there's been a lack of legislative vehicles moving. In terms of what it would mean for the industry, if we went from E10 to E15 nationwide, we'd be talking about boosting corn demand by 1.8, 2 billion bushels. Yeah, that'd be another 5 or 6 billion gallons of ethanol. Of course, that's not going to happen overnight, but that shows the scale and scope of the opportunity with E15.
Great stuff. Hey, Geoff, thanks a lot for joining us. I really appreciate it, and all the best to you.
All right, thanks, Shaun.